Welcome to One Brothas Mind, and I am KD Smooth. Today we will question and challenge popular information and views from a B1 perspective, while we expose the real facts you need. We do this to strengthen your logical, critical, and discerning thinking skills. Because in today's world, hard choices are mandatory and they come with consequences. So you need all the information. And at One Brothas Mind, we do this from a B1 Yeshua the Christ followers perspective. Now, if you're not ready, you better get ready with KD Smooth at One Brothas Mind. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's KD Smooth coming back at you with a new report. I pray you all are doing well. Shalom, family. You guys seen the thumbnail. We got an additional update on this Ohio train explosion and the chemical toxins situation that we wanted to share with you this evening. Some additional information has come to light that I believe may be playing a significant role in what's happening and why the residents there in the affected areas are still, let's just say, having problems. Okay? Just before we get into this report, family, smash the like button, share this report on all your social media with all your peoples, and be sure to be subscribed to One Brothas Mind, where we try to bring you the information and facts you need. Okay, it should be a pretty quick report, but definitely some information, that family, that you need to know about, things that you need to consider, or if you're not in the affected area or areas, things that you need to, let's say, learn from. Okay? And when we get toward the end of this report, I'm going to share on your screen some information. It's not going to be a video clip. And I'm going to be using my words carefully, family. So I'm going to need you guys to really listen to what I'm saying. Okay? Basically, I'm just going to be asking questions. But I'm going to need you to hear what I am saying. All right, let's get into it. First, I got basically 3 clips that we're going to share with you, family. And then after these clips, we're going to come back and chop it up. Okay? Here we go. First clip.
And this was the water they pulled from around their property after the chemical release. Last week, Caitlin says that Norfolk Southern, the company that operated the train, came to the door to test for toxins in their home. But before they could, they would need to sign this document.
We were told that they were an independent testing agency. Before they could enter the premises, they handed us a contract. The contract was essentially, to be able to get onto the property, but also at the bottom was a hold harmless agreement.
It states that upon signature, the landowner agrees to hold harmless the company for any and all legal claims, personal injury, or property damage. She refused to sign.
So if I get this straight, Norfolk Southern essentially asked you to sign a hold harmless agreement in exchange for testing?
Correct.
And you did not sign?
Correct.
Would they give you the paper?
They did not give us the paper. I asked if I could take a physical picture with my cell phone of the paper, and I did.
Ohio Senator J.D. Vance is outraged.
We contacted Norfolk Southern right away, and the answer that they gave us, not joking, was that was an accidental indemnification agreement. We didn't mean to give her that one. We gave her the wrong one. Okay? Come on.
Okay, family. Yeah. That was the first clip. Basically, that was a confirmation clip That was a confirmation clip from the document image that I shared with you guys yesterday. Just for further confirmation, so nobody out there could say I was just making that up. For further confirmation of what had occurred to some of the residents there in Ohio from that company, with this document that basically removed their ability to file a lawsuit. Okay? Here we're going to move on to our second clip and some other resident information, and we'll come back here in just a moment.
So we were in the kennel this morning picking up some supplies. We left. I went home to take it to, home. I went back to the place where we were being evacuated.
Caitlin Schwartzwelder and her boyfriend Chris, after being evacuated, came back home today. But she says she broke out in a rash almost instantly.
I undressed to get into the shower, and I had a rash all over the side of my face, on both sides, and all over my chest.
Take a look at these photos of her this morning after coming back on her property. The rash all over her face, neck, and chest.
My boyfriend Chris also had a rash down his left side, and I mean, to this moment, right now, I have just a really low-grade, constant headache.
They live nearly a mile from the derailment and where Norfolk Southern released the toxins into the air 2 weeks ago. But their issues clearly persist. But with FENA finally coming and with all the focus directed at East Palestine, these folks say they're forgotten because they live just over the state line in Pennsylvania.
It feels like nobody gives a damn beyond us.
They too were forced to evacuate.
And what if we couldn't afford to do any of this?
My life is
there you have, family. Some additional elements of things that the residents there are going through. Again, they're being told that the air and the water is now safe, right? There's reports of rashes, other health effects, headaches, nausea, all of this. And then the resident lady at the end, you know, is raising an additional issue. When they were told to evacuate, that was just out of the blue, spur of the moment. Nobody planned, as she said, for this. So what if they couldn't afford to evacuate? There's people that are spending their rent money, their mortgage money, payment money, to go pay for somewhere to stay while they're evacuated. But are they reimbursing or providing money to compensate the people and the residents for the additional expenses and cost? Yeah. Okay, we got one more, family. One more note that was a resident shared as a part of an interview. This interview you see on your screen. This interview, let me see if I can put it on your screen here. Came from there. That's the channel and the name of the full interview. So you can go there on YouTube and find this report. But I wanted to share a specific clip out of this report with you, family. Now, I don't know, what this channel's lean is or whatever. I don't really care. I don't necessarily look at information like that. I here at One Brothas Mind, we gather information kind of like the same way we eat fish that has bones. Okay? You eat the meat and leave the bones. Okay? You gotta pick through it, find what you need or what you're gonna eat, and then leave the rest. Okay? So this resident made one specific comment that I wanted to share with you really quickly, family, that is something that I don't think most of you are aware of about these situations. So we're going to do this clip and then we're going to come back right quick here in just a moment.
February 6th, they were saying that there was, DeWine's words were, we were facing grave danger of death. They were threatening child endangerment charges.
Did you hear that, fam? Let's try that again.
DeWine's words were, we were facing grave danger of death. They were threatening child endangerment charges to anybody that did stay behind.
Child endangerment charges for anyone that did not evacuate. Okay, let's continue.
They had children with them. And then 2 days later, they said it's absolutely safe to go home.
Hi, I'm JT, and I made Result Hunter, the search.
We got a colonizer invader that has invaded our space. We are going to eliminate this colonizer quickly, and then we are going to return to our clip. Here we go.
How on earth are they going to reconcile those two statements? I mean, we've seen news reports that say, there's no big deal, there's no health risk, not even to your animals. We're testing the air, we're testing the water. And then you see the pictures and the videos of people who are looking at all of their chickens lying dead, whose animals have died. Obviously, there's poison everywhere. How is all that poison just cleared out of town? Poison that could have killed your children if you spent the night there. How could that possibly clear out of town in 48 hours?
Right, exactly. Those are exactly our thoughts. We know that there are some people that have returned and have gotten sick. I know our neighbors went home for a day and they I think they and one of their children broke out in a rash, had scratchy throats. I went back for just a half an hour to get some stuff from our house, and I left with a scratchy throat. My husband's been at our house a few times to clean, and he said that for the last 3 days, he's been having trouble breathing. They've found at least 3,500 dead fish in the street.
Okay, she goes on further with most of the information that many of you already know at this point. But family, the key point that I wanted you guys to pick up on in this interview with a resident was at the moment that they required the residents to evacuate, the residents within the mile radius, what came with that evacuation notification was if you have children and you decide not to evacuate for some reason, you would be facing child endangerment charges. Okay? So this is information for the residents that were in the affected area to be aware of and to clearly understand. But family, this is also information. That bit of information is something that you need to absorb and learn from. Lock it into your memory on the back shelf. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where in your area there's a mandatory evacuation put out, oftentimes, depending on the reason for the evacuation being issued, oftentimes it comes with this threat of child endangerment charges. Did you know that? Okay. Now, some of y'all going, well, yeah, obviously, if there's a health problem or something going on, then Yeah, that should come with it. But for a lot of us, family, say you're in a situation. Now, come on now. I'm talking to my so-called black family here. Like the other resident said, what if you couldn't afford to evacuate? What if, you don't have any money or resources to go 2, 3, 4, 5 counties or a couple cities away and post up for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks? Where are you going to stay? How are you going to be able to pay for that? What are you and your family going to eat? How are you going to pay for any other needs that you have? If you don't have that money on hand, if you don't have the money for just literally the gas to put in your vehicle to get gone, to evacuate. What if your car is broke down at the time and it won't make it that far? Hey, y'all know how it is, man. We all ain't been driving great cars our whole lives. A lot of us done had them cars that we know we can only go about 8 blocks and 2 left turns before it run hot or before it stop or whatever it is. We done had them before. So you have to keep this stuff in mind, man. Here you are, they put out some kind of mandatory evacuation, and did the authorities, the so-called authorities, when they put out that notice, did they give a phone number or something you can call immediately where you say, hey, look, I want to evacuate, but I need help. I don't have a car, or my car's no good. I don't have money. Is there some kind of assistance available that I can get for myself or my family, specifically money, especially shelter as well, that we can take advantage of so we can go ahead and evacuate? Yeah. You got to think about all these elements, family. You have to think and consider all these type of elements and others when you find yourself in these emergency type situations. Okay? So again, residents are being told they can return, but when they come back, many of them are experiencing all kind of different effects from the air or from the water quality. I mean, I wouldn't be taking no shower with that water. No, hell no. But they're being told everything is safe, right? So why are they still many of them experiencing these different effects? Well, here at One Brothas Mind, we may have stumbled across a potential answer. And this is the part of this report, family, where I need you to really put your listening hat on, okay? All right, here we go. On your screen, family, there are reports that are just now coming out. Okay, you may start to hear about this report and this information here really soon, but this is one of the few places here at One Brothas Mind where you're going to get this information. Okay, and let me do this. Let me turn this off right here so you can clearly see. Pause this video, read this screen. While you're doing that, I'm going to summarize. There are reports that are just recently coming out that in as early as January of this year, the CDC allegedly may have changed or updated the toxicological profile for vinyl chlorine. Okay? And that profile information had not been changed since April 17th, 1987. The specific aspect of this profile. Okay? It was an update. And in the middle of your screen, you can see the revision history from this toxicological profile on vinyl chlorine. You blow it up. It says January 2023 from the CDC. Okay. The clip in the middle shows, again, that same update for public consumption. That's what this cover for this update reads, for public commitment. I said consumption, it's commitment. But what's in the middle of your screen is the most important information. And it reads, allegedly, the CDC update changed the lethal exposure from 100 parts per million to 100,000 parts per million. The lethal exposure level had remained the same for 17 years before the CDC decided to update the number just a couple of weeks before this derailment. Let that sink in. It's only a couple of weeks before. So, Katie Smooth got some questions. Allegedly, I think I snapped. Kwame be saying, did the CDC actually make this update just a couple of weeks prior to this accident? If so, why? Also, many of y'all have already picked up on it. If the lethal exposure level was originally 100 parts per million, and the CDC changed it to 100,000 parts per million, do you kind of see how, or could this, let me say that, could this be how and why the residents are still experiencing effects? Because the company, the train company, and the authorities and everything, they're following most likely the CDC's, these guidelines and recommendations. So if when they come in, when it's a part of the cleanup efforts, if they're only gotta get their meters and testers and test to reach the, or just below the 100,000 parts per million level, once they get down to 999,000 parts per million, everything's safe now. We can leave. Do you see that? Do you see the significance in the difference? If, let's say, allegedly, I think I snapped, if the original guidelines was there was that it had to be brought down to below 100 parts per million. The cleanup crew may have had to do a whole lot more and longer and more expensive cleanup efforts to get the levels down below 100 parts per million. But allegedly, if they only had to get down to below 100,000 parts per million, that's a less expensive, less time consuming and cleanup. Do you see that? But at the same time, that leaves significantly more or significantly higher levels of chemicals in the air and in the water, so on and so forth. Which, well, let me say it like this. Could this allegedly, I think I snapped, explain why the residents are still experiencing symptoms, even though the so-called authorities are telling them everything is safe, at least according to the updated CDC toxicology guidelines? Yeah. Yeah, family. There's a whole lot going on in the world today. A whole lot you need to be aware of. I mean, what was the CDC's motivation for making this update? Is this update purely for the safety that, okay, these levels are we did testing and we figured out these higher levels are still safe for people? Or is there some other lobbyists or money motivation going on here to make adjustments to these type of safety guidelines that have been around for decades? As a part of my research on this issue, family, I looked in and I read a few other documents from the CDC and a couple of other agencies where they were talking about mentioning allegedly, possibly, that some of these updates may have been because when the original levels were set, they were set kind of as a group or a broad brush level setting threshold for multiple or like certain groups of chemicals, but potentially the CDC may be going through, or other organizations, and individually modifying based on some information about the individual toxin. It was real sketchy though. Okay? So there you have it, family. Just a real brief update number 2. Things that you need to be aware of. Again, like I said, when the so-called authorities with the God complex, when they say there's safety here or now, watch out. That's when you really need to get worried and consider doing the opposite of whatever the so-called God complex authorities are saying to do. Okay? And once again on your screen, this is our original report we did here at One Brothas Mind on this issue. It's even much more further thorough and significant report we did. Go to One Brothas Mind, go into the video playlist, and you'll see this report. In fact, we just did it maybe 3 or 4 days ago. We cover a lot more issues, more information that you need to know, family, in this original report. So y'all let me know what you think on this. Yeah, there could be reasons why many residents are still experiencing effects here, and what they're gonna do about that. Right. Let's chop it up in the comments, family. Let me know if you have come across some other information. Drop it in the comments. That's what we're here for, to try to be an information source. Drop it in the comments and let everybody know so we can chop it up on it and be aware and informed. And this concludes this broadcast for One Brothas Mind. We thank you for joining us. And as a part of the new Black media, B1 choices are mandatory, and being on code is required. But never fear, Yeshua the Christ is with you always. Shalom.